Um, Hello guys, today I'm going to tell you how to take your paintings from black and white to color and how I personally do everything step by step. And for this video I'm using, well, I always paint in Krita, but almost everything I do can be done in other software, and most other software has this type of programs, I guess. Like, they all have color layers and they all have layers, and that's basically all you need. For this, I'm going to be using the widow painting I have been painting over at my stream that I do sometimes. It's really just random. But anyways, one of the things I want to talk about before I actually start getting into color is picking your values. And just a quick definition, it's basically it's the scale from black to white. So the value will lie in between black or white, and that's your value. Basically, the lighter or darker it is. And it's really important in painting, drawing, everything. It's basically probably one of the biggest things people mess up on, other than like anatomy and that kind of stuff, like the technical stuff. But yeah, so what you want to do for picking values is always go based on the local color and the light that is affecting the object. If you don't know what the local color's value is, then I always just find the color on the color wheel or the triangle thing or the circle or whatever you have, and then drag it over to its desaturated version, which will give you its value, and then you can just paint in that. So if you're not sure what value to use, you can always just take the color you want and then desaturate it, and that's the correct value. But you always have to keep in mind the lighting situation and all that. That's very important, but because the lighting situation for this painting is really easy, it's not going to affect it too much. Another thing is that a lot of different settings and software interpret values of certain colors and saturations differently, but most of them are pretty accurate and you don't have to worry too much about that. Just be aware that it happens. Okay, so let's just start transferring this into color. So the first thing you want to do is add a new layer and make it a color layer, and you can name it something like color layer or something like that. I usually don't name the layers because I'm lazy and it often leads to me being really confused. But yeah, you just want to make sure that this is a color layer and that it is on top of your black and white painting. So this is what I would call step one, is just begin painting over your black and white painting on the color layer with the local values of everything. Don't worry about hue shifting or anything like that. That comes later. You just paint everything the local color. So whatever the object's color is, paint it that. Widow's blue, so she's gonna be bluish purple, so I'm gonna paint her bluish purple. Her hair will be purple, her clothes will be pink, and it's just all one hue, one value. Well, that's actually one of the good things about coloring this way, is that you don't have to worry about the value because you've already painted in the values. Now you're just adding the color.
Two out the door, then you have magic.
Okay, so I'm just about done adding all the local colors to everything, and even though I have a lot of grays, I make sure to add some color to that. You don't want to leave it just gray, or it won't really fit in with the rest of the color or the painting. And the next thing you do, which is still kind of step one, you're still on the color layer, but now you're adding saturation to where you believe you need it, which is usually near areas that are lit, and you can begin to hue shift now, so you can do cooler shadows and warmer highlights, or you can do whatever depending on your light environment, and you'll see that it changes the painting a lot just by hue shifting, but it's still all the same layer, it's still on the color layer. Anyone who doesn't know what hue shifting is, it's basically changing the hue a tad towards the cooler or warmer side depending on what you want and what area you're painting. And if you don't know what hue is, it's the actual colors. So red, blue, that's the hue. So if you're shifting it towards blue, you're moving red towards blue, it's going to get a little bit more purple. So yeah, that's hue shifting basically. Okay, so now that you've done that, the next step is to correct any problems that you have, usually because of wrong values chosen at the beginning when you painted the original black and white painting. And you can do this two ways. You can paint over all the layers, or you can go back into your black and white painting and change it from there. I usually do both, so I'm going to show you both anyways. For example, the gun, I think it's kind of too light, it's not the right value, the colors are looking a little off. So I'm going to go back into my black and white version and darken it up and change some of the values on that. I want it to look a little bit more metallic and a little bit more shiny, so I'm just going to fix that. For the rest of the painting process, I'll be using the other method, which is overpainting, which is where you make a new layer on top of all your previous layers and add any cast shadows, any highlights or bounce light, basically all the stuff you have left over to do, and fixing anything that's incorrect or it looks off to me. This is where I fix a lot of the gun because I didn't actually render a lot of the gun. But yeah, it's just basically all the post-production, cleaning up your edges, cleaning up the painting, adding the extra little stuff. And even though this is the last step, I still would recommend that you do any kind of color dodge or rim light stuff right at the end so that it doesn't interrupt your painting. A lot of the times you'll have to overpaint if you do it before, and it'll kind of just take longer to finish, and it's just more work if you don't do it right at the end. So stay strong, don't be tempted to automatically start color dodging and adding rim light and all that to everything. And yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you find it helpful, and I hope it helps a lot of you transfer your black and white paintings into color, because I know I kind of had a rough transition from black and white to color. I mean, I've always been doing color, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it looked good. My black and white was always better because I sucked at color, and I feel like this is a good way to introduce yourself to color so that you're still painting in black and white, but then you're still using color. Because I'm not sure what way, a lot of people still do this. You don't have to start with color. You can start with a black and white painting. It's all personal preference, and this is how I'm currently doing it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
No one can hide from my sight.